Good afternoon and welcome to the August meeting of the Murfreesboro Historic Zoning Commission. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Linda Anderson.
Here.
Gib Backlund.
Here.
David Becker.
Here.
Deborah Belcher.
Here.
Rick Cantrell. Paul Cross.
Here.
Jim Thompson.
Here.
Mary May White.
Here.
Kurt Wade.
We do have a quorum. Thank you, Brenda, and I call this meeting to order. Everyone should have received minutes of our last meeting, which was July the 19th. Are there any edits or additions to these minutes?
I'll make a motion we approve as submitted.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion regarding the minutes? If not, the chair would ask that all those in favor of accepting the minutes as written, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. Brenda, they are accepted, and thank you very much. We appreciate that. Robert, we have a short agenda, it appears, today. What is the bit of business we want to go over today?
Yes, Chairman Thompson. The only item we have on the agenda is 1102 East Main Street. The applicant is Mr. Jim Thomas. He's requesting what they want to determine the privacy fencing, the ceiling application material, and the continued discussion that we have on the stone gates at the sidewalk. I know for people in the audience, this property is located on the southeast corner of East Main Street and 2nd Avenue. The house was built around 1930 in the bungalow style of architecture with a full stone porch, light brackets, and a broad central dormer. This house is a 1.5-story structure with a stone and brick veneer and is a contributing structure in the East Main Street district of the National Register of Historic Places. We met last month to discuss the fencing that Mr. Thomas put up and the hedging that he put around the property, in addition to the gates that he's going to put on, the stone columns and the gates that he's going to have to enter the property. The commission approved the fence, but they wanted to discuss what kind of application was going to be put on the fence to determine if it's going to weather with the weather or stay the color that it is. And I discussed this with Mr. Thomas. I sent it in a letter, and I talked to him on the phone about it. He said he'd be willing to come to the commission to talk about what he's going to do with it. In addition to that, we talked about the columns and the gates that are on the property. I know the commission, they approved the location for them, but they didn't approve the material last month at the meeting. They wanted a stone similar to that of that what is on the house itself. And in your agenda package, I had a picture made of the front of the porch, or the front of the house, and it shows the kind of stones and the style that those stones are in. I know the commission said that they would like to have it flared from the bottom and going to the top like is shown on the front porch. In addition to those columns on the end of the porches, there's the steps that go up to the house that have the same kind of stone piers, and they're not in the flared style. And I talked this over with him, and he said he's going to be willing. He's looking to find the same kind of stone that is on the house, but it's going to be kind of difficult to have it flared for the gates. So he's coming back this month to talk about if we can amend that the approval for those piers for the gates. And I don't.
He's right.
He's in the audience, and if there's any other questions I could clear up, I'll be happy to answer them, and Mr. Thomas is here to answer any also.
Great. Mr. Thomas, would you like to come forward? And if you would come and grab the loose microphone there on the stand and take it back. I'm not sure that microphone at the podium is actually working. If you would use that. You're welcome to take it off the stand and just hold it if you'd like or what have you. Okay. If you would state your name and your address and then present your concerns or issues, please.
Jim Thomas, 1102 East Main. I guess we could start. We were talking about the columns at the sidewalk. First, I'd like to apologize. They got started while I was on vacation. It was a discussion, and I think someone was just trying to do good. I have a future plan of putting in a grill and a little fire pit on the side of the house where the fence is located. We just haven't come to terms on exactly what that design is going to be. We know the two things we want out there. We just don't know exactly how we're going to lay it out. It's kind of it's got a weird drop-off back there, and there's got to be some seating built in and that type of thing. And that's where the cobblestone come from that we were wanting to put on the columns at the road, at the gates. We were kind of seeing it as if we were going to use that particular stone on our patio, that it would look well blended in at that location also. I haven't put a lot of effort into finding another stone, but I have made a couple of phone calls. Haven't had any luck locally. Dr. Bishop across the street has told me that he found his stone up on Mount Eagle Mountain. He's trying to research who that is. And I think, as Robert was explaining earlier, that was trying to hang a gate on a sloped surface. I mean, I can probably still make it happen, but I think it'd look weird because on that front sidewalk it's so wide. I don't want to put a gate all the way across. I guess I want some spacers in between, and I'd like to keep them square instead of them looking with the, you understand what I'm saying. So I've kind of let them just somewhat sit. I think in the near future we won't even be seeing those. I intend for that hedge to grow up and stop it at about 3-4 foot tall, and let that be my fence around the perimeter. And that's basically where we determine the height to stop the gates, and that'll be about the same elevation as the hedge will grow.
I think it was somewhat of a misunderstanding, perhaps, from our last meeting. It wasn't necessarily that the stone was flared, but it'd be the same face of the stone that's on that front porch. I don't think it ever really was an issue about Deborah, you were the one that brought it up.
I think it was just that we were trying to match the flared, and I guess when we said match, I didn't mean match necessarily the angle, but
Gotcha.
match the stone.
Okay.
So it may be just a misinterpretation of wording.
And I apologize. I sent my father-in-law here, and I guess we didn't have a good conversation before as well, because he thought I was going to be here, and I was in Florida.
Yeah.
He was very eloquent on your
Yes.
Yeah, he kind of got thrown to the wolves, I think. I sent him a big, long email with everything in it.
Yeah, he read from it, so he did a great job. But I think it was more the face of the stone is rough. It's sort of a rough face.
Right.
And we were looking for that it matched the sandstone, what they call Swanee stone, or crab orchard stone.
Right.
And yes, you can get it up there in the Swanee area. There's a quarry there.
Right.
But we're looking to match your front porch was the hope, I believe, but not the flare. So the columns could be square, but just have that rough textured face to them and to match the color.
Well, knowing that we were going to, here in the near future, we're going to be asking for the grill and the patio that we're going to add on to the side of the house to be built out of that cobblestone. Is that going to create a problem, or do you think it's a good idea to have those kind of matched to get away from everything being the same color? I'm open either way we go. I just need to continue to try to find that stone.
Yeah. I can only speak for myself. I'm only one of a larger board, but I think it would be best if it matched.
Okay.
So you have less materials on the outside. And being that the only thing we're looking at now is the gates, and you have that wonderful front porch with that crab orchard stone, I think they ought to match myself, but I'm only one of several people here.
Right.
Then when you come before us regarding the fire pit or the chimney, whatever the fireplace is going to be, a lot of people are building those now. I think we could look at that again, but I would imagine we would have a similar consideration regarding that. But
Yeah,
it's
because
hard to say.
I guess probably one we need to talk about. Unfortunately, when I bought the stone for the interior, I bought them for everywhere. I don't know, maybe I can take them back, I'm not sure, but I did have to special order them. So I guess that's probably that'd be something I'll need to deal with. But I felt like it would look real nice, somewhat kind of breaking the orange up a little bit on it.
Well, why don't we address each issue separately, and then we can come to that. The two things that are coming before us today are the pillars.
Correct.
And then the finish on the wood fence. And I believe the discussion on the first item, the gates, was that we wanted to see the rough texture, sandstone, crab orchard stone material on there. And I think I read in here we had asked also about a top to it.
Correct.
And we saw, I think, Deborah, you also saw that in the front porch you have a coping stone on that porch, and that we should sort of match that same
Right.
spirit, just not flared.
And it was just a poured concrete on top of that porch, is
I
what
think
it
even
is.
poured concrete would be fine,
Okay.
provided it doesn't have the formwork showing through and that kind of thing. If it has
Gotcha.
a textured face, I think it'll be fine, but I think as a group, that's what we're considering. Do we need to make motions on each of these items, do you think?
Yeah, that's what we're considering.
Is there any further discussion? on
Mr.
the-
Chairman?
Yes.
Apparently, we do have an error in the minutes. On page 3, it says that the commission, in one sentence, did not approve the stone columns submitted for the gates. I guess that may be the stone columns that were proposed. And then it says we made a motion to approve the columns for the gates to tie in with the house. Columns need to be constructed of the same rock and in the same style as the columns on the front porch. Parenthetically, it says wider at the bottom and tapered in toward the top, capped in the same manner. The motion was seconded by me and approved. So do we need to rescind that motion?
For the minutes?
I understand that to be correct, because he submitted the different kind of rock to be approved. And
I mean
you
the
didn't-
second
And you
part
didn't
of
approve
it.
that.
Yeah, right.
Oh, the tapered?
Yeah, it says tapered. The motion that we passed said for them to be tapered.
Well, I mean, that's what was approved, the tapered.
Right.
And now we're trying to amend that. Is that
I
what
think what I was trying to do was refer to them,
Yeah.
not, I don't think I'm so very cruel that I would ask someone to have a rhombus-shaped gate. That would be a little difficult for it to ever work. So I think what I was trying to do is, I was trying to say like the rock on on those columns. Does that make sense? I think it's a little bit of the wording. And I can I think we could have a new motion, or I could, I'm willing to make a change to correct the wording.
David, I think that was the intent, too, that it never be tapered. It was just that we wanted the stone that's on the front porch. Do we need to go back now and revise the motion about, or the minutes and revise those?
Correct the minutes.
Correct the minutes?
I think if it's everyone's understanding there on the commission that they were to be straight columns as opposed to tapered columns, and if everyone agrees that that's what the intent was at the last meeting, then we can just correct the minutes.
I would agree. Would everyone agree that it was never meant to be flared? So I think
Right.
we just edit the minutes to accept those as square columns. So it's not a tapered issue. It's strictly a stone material, that it matched the porch, and that we have wall and we have a coping stone or of some sort.
Cap to match the
Okay.
So
existing porch.
Well, I'll make a motion we correct the minutes as stated by Mr. Cross.
do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any
So,
further?
yeah, my understanding correctly, I have that option on the cap, either a stone or concrete.
A precast sort of, yes.
Okay.
There
I'll
again,
probably
I'll-
look for something precast to match the stone instead of,
I was just trying to refer to that.
Okay.
And I didn't mean to confuse.
I understand. It's
I was gonna
okay.
say, like that column.
it's okay.
These aren't cleared anyway. I was just
Let's
point.
finish. We have a motion and a second on revising the minutes. Let's just go ahead and run that through. Is there any further discussion regarding revising the minutes to delete the word that they're tapered? If not, the chair would welcome then all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, so the minutes are corrected to take the word tapered out, basically. And now we've had discussion about the material, and is it correct that it was already previously approved?
To be that stone to match the columns on the front.
So I don't think there is a further motion regarding that then, is there? Another need?
Mr. Chairman, is it possible to have some more discussion on that?
Sure, absolutely.
With the new information Mr. Thomas gave us that he has purchased a significant amount of the stone that was requested at the last meeting, I totally agree with the front columns to match the stone that you have on the front porch because it's so predominant. But if you look at the front of the house,
the only feature.
You know, you're seeing that, but if you're not really seeing the sidewalk to that degree, so maybe there's a possibility, if he's going to build the fire pit with that stone that he already has purchased, that he could finish the columns on the side with the same stone that was submitted at the last meeting.
And no, I'm not sure that we would say no to that, but I was hoping we'd get the piers of the gates resolved and then do the fence so we don't lose sight of that and come back to that issue.
Sure.
'Cause I think there were some other things you might want to do on that site.
I've got several items on the list. that we just
Okay,
need
why
to
don't we finish the
confirm.
two then? So the front stone gates are approved as we discussed. So now the issue is, what is the finish on the privacy fence on your property? The wood.
Okay, it'll be a mixture of a red cedar and a dark walnut. It'll be similar to the color, not exactly, but a dark color similar to the color of the podium you guys have here.
So is it going to be a stain or a paint?
A stain.
A penetrating stain that will
Correct.
to maintain that color? So it'll
Correct.
sort of blend with the bricks on the house?
Correct.
Are the posts, you have two colors, you said. Are the posts going to be a different color than the panels?
On the fence?
You said...
No.
It's a blend of those two.
Oh, it's a blend.
Well, I'm sorry. Blend the two colors together to stain everything that particular
Okay.
color. I'm generally not satisfied with what you put on the shelf. So.
Yeah.
And Mr. Thomas, I have a question.
Okay.
Is this we're talking about this fence, you know,
Correct.
your privacy fence, and is that the only place you're going to use that type of fence?
Yes, ma'am. Well, if I understand correctly, the last meeting when my father-in-law was here, you guys approved that I could extend the fence down the side of the garage.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
it, correct.
Right, okay.
Is there any further questions regarding the privacy fence finish then? If not, the chair would welcome a motion to regarding this proposed stain.
I propose that we accept Mr. Thomas's mixture of stain and application to his fence.
Do we have a second?
Second?
Is there any further discussion regarding the staining of the privacy fence? Then if not, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No, then that is passed as well. So those are the two issues we needed to resolve today, but you had some other items that you wanted to go, that you would like to develop there, and you wanted to come before us and get some thoughts regarding that?
Correct.
Okay.
Before we get started, let me just get it clear in my head. The columns in the front, they're going to be the same stone as the front,
Yes.
and the columns on the side, they're going to be the same as the front, or have we decided that?
Are there masonry entry gates on the side? I was wondering that, too.
Correct.
I would think they should all match.
Okay. Okay.
Do we need to make a motion regarding that?
Well, I was just unclear. I know David was talking about,
Well, no, that's what I was talking about. My only thought is that the fire pit he's going to build on the side is going to be of the stone that he submitted
Okay.
or requested at our last meeting.
Did we see a sample of it ever?
We saw a picture of it. We didn't see a sample.
Okay.
But I thought that the two gates were separated by quite a bit of distance, and one's on the front, one's on the side. I thought that just as a bit of discussion, that that's a possibility that he could use the original stone on that particular side.
What is your hope?
I'm probably okay with doing them both the same. But I definitely would like some consideration when it comes to the patio out of the cobblestone. I just somewhat got my mind dead set on that. And I actually researched a while trying to find that particular stone. Unfortunately, just wasn't one you could go buy off the shelf.
Yeah.
So as long as we can take that in consideration when we get to the patio part, I'm okay with having all four gate entrances match.
Then regarding so you're looking for some response from us on the fire pit or the chimney that you're going to build?
Absolutely. I just really haven't even, we've discussed it. It's not something we have to have right now. It's not going to hold us up from moving in or anything of that nature. It's something we need to think about a little bit and make sure we get it right.
So really, we're not able to approve a specific application because we don't know the drawing. We haven't seen a design of it, so we could at least tell you our thoughts regarding materials and finishes and this kind of thing and what we would like to see. So David, you've spoken for using the cobblestone on this fireplace. Is there any further discussion regarding that?
I have a question, Mr. Thomas. When you were talking about your fire pit and your cobblestone you're going to use, and then are you intending to put a stone fence around your raised patio?
No, can I come to your picture here?
Yes.
Probably better explain. Okay, what you have here?
Could you actually take the microphone or move your microphone, Linda, to where
Here you go.
Yeah, here.
I can't.
On the existing patio, where in the picture it looks like it just blends right in with the fence. There is about a 12-foot spot in between the existing patio and the fence that is just dirt now. Looking at the picture on the right side of the patio, also what you don't see is there's about a 2-foot drop-off there. So to answer your question, no, I didn't intend to do anything all the way around it. The only place I'm going to have to do something is going to be where we have that 2-foot drop-off to try to make it level and then come into the fire pit. Now, our thoughts on the fire pit is to keep it short.
If you go back to the microphone.
Is to keep it somewhat short. I've got one that we built up the lake, and I built the thing as tall as that ceiling, and I don't even like looking at it now. It's just too massive, too big. So we're talking maybe 8 foot tall at the max.
Would this be between the patio and the fence, or the patio and the outbuilding?
It would be in between the patio and the fence, but also in between the patio and the outbuilding.
So it's in the corner then?
It'd be more in the center. If you were looking at the steps of that outbuilding, it would be centered with the steps on that outbuilding, looking at that picture, probably right in line with the center of the second and third pole that you see on the fence there. Yeah, between those two.
So, and the fence is how tall?
I think that fence is probably 8 foot finished, maybe a little less.
So you're talking about a fire pit place that would be about the same height as the fence, and it would be visible from the street, from 2nd Avenue?
Yeah, it'd be visible.
Right now the fence is, depending on the hedge.
And once the landscape grows, and all the shrubbery that we have around the patio, I intend to keep it at about 4 foot. And the same shrubs will go on the other side of the house around the air conditioning unit, and they'll stay at about 4 foot. So you'd see it minimally from Main Street and or 2nd Avenue.
I guess I would, in terms of material for the fire pit, it seems to me it would be more in keeping with the house if it matched either the brick or the stone.
Right.
Any other thoughts regarding the materials?
I think I agree with Gibb, except that I'm not sure that the stone in the house is hard enough to withstand the heat of a fire pit. That's fairly soft stone, and it would probably spall as a result of the heat. With regard to the cobblestone, I've never seen cobblestone used for anything but paving, and I think it's inappropriate with this house. That's just my opinion. I mean, I think our job is to determine appropriateness, not to make decisions based on what somebody's already spent. I don't think it's appropriate, but I just can't imagine ever seeing a historic home like that with an 8-foot-high cobblestone fireplace, fire pit, barbecue, whatever.
I thought that was more of the historic route, was somewhat of my thinking. I thought that was more of the cobblestone was used more in the historic days than the flagstone.
As streets.
Built some beautiful fireplaces out of it.
Well, I'm not saying that you can't build a fireplace out of it. My point is that it's, according to my understanding of the guidelines, it would not be appropriate. But I'm just one person.
Well, you see, you have a variety of responses on this. I don't know that we have a consensus among the group, but I think it would be good when you decide to build it to come with a design and bring us materials for us to look at, and then we can respond appropriately. Perhaps the design will allow us to integrate some of the cobblestone, maybe where it's not as visible. Maybe it could be paving. Maybe it could be used as accents or this kind of thing. But I would share with you, yes, that the sandstone, the crabboard stone, has pockets of air in it, so if it's next to heat, they will explode if they get super hot. So it would not be a good application in the firebox or the chimney itself, but maybe as a veneer for it. What other items did you want to bring before the board that you were considering?
We've run into a little problem with the railing, the existing railing that was there. When I started on this house, I took it all down, I saved it. Robert and I have discussed it, just going back with the existing railing around the flat roof on the garage.
Oh.
This railing is only 24 inches tall, so that posed a codes issue. I have went back and tried to find the twisted flat bar like they've used on the spindles on the steps to just try to build a new fence to bring it up to code heights. Well, I also found they don't sell them anymore. I think you can go to Lowe's or Home Depot and buy a cheap, flimsy version of it. Probably looks somewhat similar to it, but it's not the quality that I wanted to use on the house. So I guess I would like to discuss if we just basically started from scratch on all the railing. I'm more up to just do somewhat of just a simple design of 1-inch tube with maybe a 1/2-inch vertical, I guess spindle if you'd call it, in the center throughout. And that would be on the back patio, around the top of the flat roof, for the gates, and anywhere else that I needed handrails. But if you guys want to stop and look at it, what I've done just to get through codes on the back porches where they required me to have railing, I've just had to go through and extend that railing. And basically, I think I had to extend the legs 11 inches and put a crossbar down below it. My wife's great with it. Me, I just don't like it. Drives me crazy and have to step up and look at it. But I had to do what we had to do to try to get moved in, and we can change it in the future. But saying that, it's probably not going to work out around the top of the garage.
Is that piece of the garage where the stairway goes up to?
Correct. So I'm definitely not totally against is leaving the steps as they are and going and just removing the handrail and the spindles and everything that you see, rebuilding those to match what we can come up with to put around the top of the garage, the back porch, and the access to the basement.
Well, certainly I think, getting the proper height for safety reasons is important on that flat roof there, because there is a low wall around it, and it would be easy to fall off of it. And if the new materials are not readily available, if you want to change the railing, instead of twisted square tube, go with just a straight square tube for the baluster on there, or the picket, or whatever you want to call it. I don't see an issue with it. I don't know how the rest of the board feels. I think consistency would look good. And if you wanted then to take off the handrail on the existing stairs and put this new railing on it with the flat part of the roof so it all looks integral and continuous, I don't see a problem with losing this rail up here. But I'm, again, one person, the rest of the commission.
Is there a way that we could see a sample of it? Or?
Certainly. I probably should have taken a picture. I've actually put it around the basement access as well as the back patio. You guys don't have a picture of it. I've done it this weekend, just playing with it to see what I could do. I should have snapped a picture and brought it with me. That's me.
Well, I think when you're ready to move forward on this, if you could present us with a drawing and a sample of it, that would be great. I do see that it appears connecting the 4 posts holding up the landing. There's also some kind of decorative curly detail. Would you leave that? If you're getting rid of the twisted, would you leave the decorative?
I'd probably, I think just went straight bar, just keep everything straight and consistent. And because as you see, if you create, I mean, you may be able to help me out on this, but it opens up more if you go with the curly cues. It makes it wider than 4 inches or 4.5. Everyone has to do with the spacing between the bars.
Oh, I wasn't suggesting the curly cues as part of the railing, but I would wonder if you would leave that below the landing. It's sort of then as the only fancy little detail left. I'm not saying take it out. It was just a simple question.
Maybe I'm not following. Just
under the landing, there's 2 bars that run
okay.
horizontal with some curly
yes.
cues.
No, I don't have a problem with that at all. Sir.
And I was just asking.
I was on the stairs. I know where you're at now, but no.
But I think what we need to do is when you're ready to build it, you'll need to come before us, I guess, with the proposal and design to do it.
Okay. And like I said, I've got something up now to get codes approval. It just doesn't. It's the existing railing. It just I just don't care for it.
Yeah. What else were you thinking about?
Landscape lighting. Is that something I need to discuss with you guys?
I don't think
is that
we've ever
considered
addressed
landscape?
Landscape lighting.
Okay.
No.
What about plantation shutters, interior shutters on the windows?
We don't get into the interior.
I think that's it.
Okay. Well, when you're ready to move forward then on the fire pits and the railing and all of that, just come back and we'll move forward.
We're going to take our time and just try to put together a design with that. So I'm definitely not here to get any answers on that today, but I did want you to know that, knowing that was the material that we would like to use in that area, and that was the reasoning for putting it on the 2 gates.
Okay, great. If there's anything else, then thank you very much. Robert, what else do we have?
The other thing we have is the election of officers. I apologize for not bringing these up at the June meeting,
Thank you.
but we need to have a selection committee come up with nominees for officers at the next meeting.
And refresh everybody out there in TV land, the officers that we need to, as a commission, vote on. We need to have a chair and a co-chair.
Chair and vice chair.
Vice chair. Anything else?
That's all.
Position-wise? If not, the chair would welcome any volunteers that would like to be part of the nomination committee. We have Linda. Anyone else? Dave, would you? So we have Linda and Dave. I think last time we had 2. I think even Gib and I did it once. If so, then we...
2 represents a committee, David.
Sorry?
2 qualifies as a committee.
I believe it has in the past.
It has in the past, yeah. If so, then we have a nominating committee. Thank you both for volunteering. Appreciate that. What else do we have?
That's all I have.
Oh, great. This was a short one. Thank you all very much. If so, then the chair would welcome a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Linda, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.